Hey guys, it's Melanie from melaniekaham.com, melaniesmakers.com. Thanks for joining me today. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this project. You guys are super excited about this project. I've been teasing it a little bit on my social media and everyone's super excited. I'm really glad to be able to bring you this very highly requested project on how to attach fabric to your crochet projects. Really quickly before we jump in though, I want to clarify a couple of things and just make sure it's crystal clear for you moving forward with this project. We have fabric on one side, crochet on the other side. So take a crochet blanket or a project that you want to back with some fabric. Just any project you want, any size that you want. I do recommend something with a little bit more body to it. If the blanket is too lacy, we want to make sure that it's going to be secure when we wash it, and so I'd be careful about things that are too lacy. But a really simple kind of single crochet project like this would be great. And I also want to point out that in the video I mentioned having a piece of fabric the exact same size as your crochet piece that is finished. Now I sew as well, so when I finish my fabric piece, I'm using my sewing machine. But if there's a crocheter out there that does not have a sewing machine, that's okay. You can finish it, and basically meaning to turn your raw edges under so that you can wash this project. You can use a fabric glue or a seam tape, something like an iron-on seam tape. But if you do that, make sure you leave the very edge of your fabric free of any of those products so that we can hand stitch. And you can watch the video all the way through to get an idea of exactly which part to leave free of that, but I want you to be able to do your hand stitching and not have it get stuck in any of those products that you've used to finish your fabric. Make sense? All right, let's jump right into the tutorial for this project. In the comment section below, let me know what you thought of it and if there's any specific projects you plan on using with this. I'm excited for you guys to know how to do this. Happy stitching. All right, so once you have your crocheted blanket part complete, make it however large you want. Now we need to create our fabric part. So I have my fabric right sides together. And it doesn't matter what kind of fabric choice it is. The thing is about the sizing is you want, so here's my crochet blanket. What we want to do is create, I'm doubling up my fabric. So let me back up a second. I'm doubling up my fabric because I want to have a little extra body. If you want to just do one layer of fabric and turn all of your raw edges under with the sewing machine and then attach it, totally fine. I think it's going to be a little bit better result if the fabric is doubled. So that's why I'm doubling up mine. That is an optional thing. But what we need to do is have a finished piece of fabric the exact same size as our crochet piece. So I'm just measuring it, and we need it to be slightly larger because we're going to use a 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way around. And I've basically got almost the exact right size. I'm just going to trim off a little bit. Okay, so now that I've got the proper size of my fabric, I'm going to take this over to my sewing machine and using a 1/2 inch seam allowance going all the way around with the right sides together, and then leave a little bit of an opening, flip it right side out, and then close up that opening. The idea is just to get a fabric piece that's finished, that's the exact same size as your crochet piece. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and I will meet you back here. Okay, once you have your fabric all set up, I want you to get some pearl cotton, and we are going to put a stitch on the outside edge of the fabric going all the way around. So when I'm cutting my pearl cotton, I kind of go arm's length and a little bit more and thread it through. Well, first you can knot it. We'll do a few knots. Okay, so I went ahead and threaded my needle and pulled that through, and then just keep pulling until that knot comes inside the fabric, and you can just trim off that little tail. What we need to do is basically create a little stitch, a little I guess it's a stitch here, where we can then crochet between here and our blanket and create the border then going around the outside. So I'm going to say about every 3/4 of an inch. Insert your needle and then come up, maybe about 1/8 of an inch. And then we will have somewhere to grip onto when we crochet our border. You can see here. So try to keep these sizes fairly consistent. And then go ahead and do that all the way around your fabric. It is helpful if this pearl cotton color goes with your crochet blanket as well as your fabric choice. It will be kind of hidden, but we want to just make sure it's blending in. So go ahead and finish that all the way around. When you need to tie off, same thing, you just tie off on your pearl cotton and bury that knot inside the fabric, just like we did here. That way it will be nice and secure. So go ahead and get that stitching done. All right, so now all the way around our fabric, we have these little stitches that we can now use to attach with a single crochet going all the way around our blanket. So I'm going to use the leftover yarn from the blanket. You could use a different color here if you want. We're going to do a single crochet foundation border going all the way around, and then we will do another little picoed border going all the way around. But we need to have that foundation and attach it really well with a single crochet first. So I'm going to insert my hook through the stitch. And I'm using an eye hook, by the way. You might want to use slightly smaller than what the yarn recommends, the package recommends. And then I'm going to insert through 2 strands on the blanket, and then we'll pull through. With that new yarn. Okay. So then we'll go to the next stitch over, yarn over, pull through, single crochet. Now, depending on how large your stitches are, you might be able to do 1 stitch per stitch here, like 1 single crochet per stitch on our fabric, but you might need to do 2. So just kind of take a look at it and try it out and see how it's going. It's a little tedious to be able to get it all the way through there, but once you get through this first round, then it'll be a breeze. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, 2 loops. I also want to mention, if you had a very specific type of border that you wanted to do, there's books out there that are borders. This is one of the ones that I like a lot, Crochet Borders, and what it does is it'll show you different borders and what the multiples will need to be. So let's say this one, multiple of 4 plus 1 plus corner stitches. So that would mean that when you're doing your stitches around your fabric, to make sure that you had that proper number of stitches or that multiple on here, and then you can do the really fancy kind of borders. So that's how you would do that if you're at that level. Okay, so let's do a few more, and then I will leave you to it. We're going to be doing the single crochet going all the way around. So you can see here how nice of a finish that's going to be. The way that this works, it finishes up so professionally and so nicely. So go ahead and finish doing that all the way around your blanket. We need that single crochet foundation, and then I'll meet you back here at the beginning where we started. All right, so we've reached back around to the beginning, and let's finish this up. We've got one more little stitch in there. And as you're doing the corners going around, you might need to add an extra little stitch or two, just whatever makes it look the best. Go ahead and do that. And then we'll be ready to do our simple little picoed border stitch. And there are so many different stitches that you could do. There's really an endless amount. So whatever kind of style you like is great. So I'm going to finish this round with a slip stitch. So here's how it's looking. It's looking nice, and you don't even really see how that's attached. It just looks like it's seamless, which is the look that we are going for. So now let's just do I'm going to do a simple picot border. There are tons of borders, and in the description box below I will link all of the different types of borders that I have done on this channel. There's a lot of them. And then all of them, it doesn't matter what this stitch is, so it can be done with no matter what the multiple is here. So there's a shell, picot, there's lots of different ones. You can even just leave it like this. I think this is a really great option as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chain one, and then our stitch is here. So see how this is like the V shape here. So this is where our stitch is. So the stitch kind of is rolling forward a little bit. So just keep that in mind when you're trying to find. It's going to go in there. We're going to single crochet, chain 3, 1, 2, 3. So once you chain 3, then you're going to slip stitch in that first chain of the chain 3. Slip stitch, so then pull that loop through the loop on your hook, and then we will single crochet 2. You could do a slip stitch too if you prefer, or you can do a single crochet, up to you. And then we'll do 2, and then we'll do a third, and then do our other picot in that third one. 1, 2, 3, slip stitch in our first chain. Bring it down into the next stitch over and single crochet. Single crochet another 2 times. And then we can do another picot. And that's all there is to it. So again, if you want this to be a little shallower, you can just make that a slip stitch rather than a single crochet. That's totally fine. And this is just a little picot stitch. I just love the little delicate and subtle nature of those little picots. So this is one of my favorite borders to do. That's all there is to it. Go ahead and do this going all the way around, and I'll meet you at the corner to show you kind of what the corner looks like, and then I'll leave you to it. You're almost done. Okay, so here's the corner, and I did not end up adding any stitches. You can add one if you need to get it to go around smoothly, and you know, the picot is going to finish up differently for different people depending on how many stitches they have. So just do whatever you feel like will make it look the best. And here's how the border is looking. Now you can go ahead and finish it up going all the way around.